So what is going on with Beyond Meat? It is up almost 50% in less than 10 days. There's a lot of speculation that this could be the next WallStreet Bets thing, the next GameStop. Well, that's what we're going to talk about here today on the PlantStock channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not, then welcome back. Now, if you are new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, I would ask you to consider it if you're interested in companies like Beyond Meat, Tattoo Chef, the Very Good Food Company, to name a few. And don't forget that bell button. Thank you. And as always, I would truly appreciate an early thumbs up since it does help spread the video to much more people out there. Thank you, folks. I truly appreciate your help. Now, if we take a quick look at the stock chart, ticker symbol BYND, we can see right now it's just the market's been open about 15 minutes and it's up about 2% right now. It actually opened up around 5%. I'm thinking some people are taking their gains now, but still, if we take a look from at May 17, it was around $100 and it has gone up now then I guess around 45% to 46%. The day is still young. We'll see what happens. So what is going on? So there is a lot of speculation right now that this could be the next meme stock, right? As you might recall, or probably do, back in January, the WallStreet Bet crew started to push out short sellers. And, well, what we think, if we take a look at this article here, it says that the Reddit board WallStreet Bet has largely been credited with launching an effort to upend short sellers who had bet those stocks would fall, being GameStop and AMC specifically. But we know that it actually spilled over and became some form of crusade against other hedge funds, larger investors, and even big trading platforms like Robinhood, right? But also this week, Bank of America stated that Beyond Meat seems to be mentioned more and more on Reddit. And this could be a sign that people from the WallStreet Bets crew is ready to go in there, and could be one of the reasons why it's flown up like 50% in just 10 days. And we all know on this show, our favorite Jim Cramer, the analyst from the street, who actually, as we know, really believes in Beyond Meat long term, stating that this could be the next Facebook, the next Google, the next Amazon. Take a look at the video up there if you haven't seen it. But it's actually been telling the people on WallStreet Bets to go focus on Beyond Meat. This should be the next company that you should put your money into and help rescue them from the short sellers, because we know Beyond Meat has about 20 to 30% short selling, and it's been like that for I think 1 to 2 years right now, and that's one of the reasons why it's not flying off. And we'll see what's up with that, but this is what he said.
It become a meme stock that the people from GameStop who like GameStop and the people who like AMC should adopt this one. It's got 20%, 22% short float. A lot of people feel that the field is very crowded, that Ethan is nothing special. I think that the Reddit crowd should decide this is the next one. I don't know why the Reddit crowd is so stuck on on AMC and stuck on GameStop. Come on, guys. I mean, you can't be a two-trick pony. You cannot be a two-trick pony. You got to give us more ideas.
And obviously, this could have an effect in the near term. And if we take a look at the investor place here, it's as they state, quote, there's the revolutionary cycle right now, which includes GameStop, which has started a gigantic rally ever since management decided to raise equity by selling stock right into the maw of the WallStreet Bets crew. AMC's doing the same thing, staging a monster rally once it was able to raise capital on the backs of the WallStreet Bets team. I keep waiting for these guys to adopt another target. Could you guess? A company with a big short position that could use money as it went higher. My pick would be Beyond Meat, right? So that's basically what Jim Cramer is saying. So this is what the investor place states that you should think about when it comes to these comments. Start with, it looks like Reddit took Cramer's advice. I think that's too early to actually know, but it is interesting. Shares of Beyond Stock are seeing heavily trading today alongside its rising price. This was from yesterday when it went up around 12%. And as of writing, more than 13 million shares of the stock have changed hands. That was the time of the writing. It actually was more like 22 or 23 million. And we're going to talk about later on what that actually means. So stay tuned. And why this is big, of course, being 23 million, is that the typical trading volume is around 3.1 million shares. So really changed. And according to Investor Place, several posts over on Reddit, Wall Street Bets are calling for others to push it to the moon. And this includes mentioning Cramer's comments as being behind new interest in BYND. Though I think it's really important to realize that Jim Cramer, his long-term on Beyond Meat, right? He believes in them long-term, not short-term. Like Motley Fool here suggests or talks about that Cramer was making 2 points, right, with his suggestions yesterday. First, he is a believer in the underlying business and thinks Beyond Meat has a long runway for growth. So that's important to understand. But he also pointing out that the retail trading crowd that spurred the frenzy earlier in the year continues to have power in numbers with GameStop and AMC and could create a show of force in the stock market again. So I also do believe what he's talking about here, that if you want to try to get some gains, right, short-term gains, use only gambling money. But we'll talk about that also, what I think about that in the end. So before I continue, folks, I truly want to hear what you feel about this. Do you think this is a possibility? Could the Wall Street Bets crew be behind this? Let me know down in the comments. Now, do I believe that this is possible? I guess there's a possibility that they could be behind it, or that they are starting to get behind it. But I think to some extent it's enough that Jim Cramer says something like this on TV, right? That could actually get the ball rolling for other retail investors, because if they start believing that the Wall Street Bet crew is ready to start going in there with a lot of money together as a group, then more people start investing just believing those words, right? And then Wall Street Bets might go in after that. I don't know, but there is a chain reaction happening at the moment. And let's just take a look at the overall volume, right? So if we take a look at a little deeper analysis here when it comes to the volumes, like the stated Investor Place, that usually it's trading around, around 3 million in volume, right? So we can see 3.4, 3.9, 3.3. So basically, but yesterday, all of a sudden, it was trading at 21.39 million. So when was the last when we saw those kind of high numbers, right? That's what I want to show you here. If we take a look at the 6 months, back here, which was back in January 26th, what happened then? Well, that was the PepsiCo deal, right? It went up like crazy. So that was around 33 million in volume, which was really high, but obviously also it went up directly 30 to 40% in a really quickly when the market opened. And it took it actually up to about, $221. And then it went down quite quickly, knowing that there's a lot of short sellers, right? And that's what I find interesting, because we've had a lot of good news here. We're here today, or this is actually today, but it's just opened up. But this was yesterday, right? And if you take a look at these two here, I mean, this is 21 million, right? Take a look. 21 million from yesterday, and this was 33, having enormous news. PepsiCo deals is basically the biggest news you can have as a food company, having a deal with them. And this is also the time when we find out around the McDonald's deals, we find out about the Yum Brands deals. So there's a lot of information coming here. We had an upgrade just a couple of days ago when it actually got the stock to move again. If you haven't seen that video, I published that on Monday. Take a look up here. But that doesn't seem to be enough to put it at a fair value of $130, that should be enough to actually move this stock as much as it has. It hasn't done that before as of late anyways. So that's why I think it's kind of fishy that it's only the recent news. But then again, we don't know, because in my opinion, it is at least fair value now around $150, considering what's going on. And we have to think about that too. And why is that? Well, again, we had an analyst that just a couple of days ago, when it was trading around $108, said it should probably be around $130. Well, we also know that there's several other analysts like The Street, Jim Cramer, they feel like it should be around $140 to $200. Investor Place says around $200, which means there's plenty of analysts out there that's basically saying that it should be between $130 to $200, right? So, and the reasons for that is obviously that the restaurants are going to open up really shortly now on an international scale. It's actually beginning to open up. That means people are going to go out eating a lot more. And we have to remember that about 50% of Beyond Meat's revenue comes from restaurants, right? That is the reason why it's been kept down when it comes to revenues this last year, because a lot of restaurants have been shut down. That's going to change now, right? And also, let's not forget that a couple of weeks ago, we got information that it seems like their chicken alternative, the Beyond Chicken, might come out now during summer. And it seems quite plausible that that's actually going to happen. And that in itself will be really huge for this company, considering that when it comes to burgers, that's one thing. But most people in the US and a lot of parts of the countries in the world, they actually eat way more chicken than red meat, which would mean that this company having the first plant-based chicken that's probably going to taste a lot better than the few ones that actually exist, that could be a game changer in itself, right? So that's really good news. And as we have talked about on many occasions on this channel, it is the three big deals, right? With McDonald's, with PepsiCo, with Yum Brands. Deals that hasn't really started really as of yet, because they're starting more now, I think in September, October, right? So those are things we're still waiting for. And if people are starting to think about that more, well, then we could see people buying in more. But when we talk about KFC, let's take a look at the KFC in China. And just a few days ago, we found out that Beyond Meat made a deal with KFC parts and brand in China, where they're going to give them plant-based spicy beef wrap. So not the chicken alternative yet. As we know, it's not finished. And the wrap is going to have no cholesterol, of course, and 12.8 grams of protein. And it's only going to be in a limited time, but still really good at 2,600 stores. That's news. That's huge, right? In 28 cities across China, according to the news release, which will mean that if this is popular, we could see this being an ongoing item on their menus, right? So we'll have to see, but that's certainly good news. That should move the stock somewhat. Not this much, but somewhat. And as long as we're talking about China, we know about their 2 facilities in China. And one of them that's just got started, they're building on the other one. It's going to also be huge long term, right? So if people have that in their mind, that could make them invest. And even more good news is that Beyond Meat just introduced the first ever value 6-pack of irresistible Beyond Burgers across all of Canada. Furthering the goal of making plant-based protein more accessible, right? And this is perfect timing, considering what do we have here? Grilling season, right? Summer season coming up. So obviously this is going to move the stock probably in the right direction also. But again, I'm not sure this is big enough news, because we've had several of those kind of news now during all of this year, but I haven't seen this kind of movement except PepsiCo. But another thing that is also obviously good news is that, as we know, when it came to their Q1 report, their revenues for that quarter was about 108 million when analysts expected 113 million. So it was off about 5 million. I don't think that was actually such a big deal considering the situation with Rona, but apparently a lot of investors did, which made it fall down a lot after that. But the good news here is that when it comes to the expectations, both from analysts and Beyond Meat themselves, in Q2, they do expect to jump up to between $135 million to $150, giving themselves a little leeway there, but almost $150 million, right? That's huge compared to 3 months before, which was $108 million, right? And that is related, obviously, that people are taking their vaccines and going out to eat at restaurants. So again, folks, what do you think? Is it related to all the different good news that's been happening as of late? Or is it related to something going on with maybe WallStreet Bets being behind it, trying to push it up now, trying to save the stock from the different short sellers out there? Let me know down in the comments. So the question is, should you invest? Well, first, ask Jim Cramer. What does he think?
So, Jim, I think that we've been working together long enough for me to know that Beyond up 9% today is going to be a little too high for your taste. But when do you think that investors could buy Beyond?
I actually think they can buy it now. I think
Well, color me corrected then.
Yeah, and the only reason I say that is because it's still down for the year. If it were up for the year, I would say no, but it's down 7% for the year. And stocks that are down right now, below, are actually down for the year, have some attraction for me. If this stock was at 122, it would attract for me. I happen to believe in this. I should have been focused on the fact that service was opening, but Ethan wasn't on the show. Ethan was introduced to me by Walter Robb, Whole Foods, with the idea this is going to be the best tasting one. It's going to go through iteration after iteration after iteration. I'm waiting to hear about a more definitive McDonald's statement about where they're going to use it. But yeah, I'm going to violate my rules just because I could not believe how low this thing. This thing's in half, and it's down for the year. And enough is enough.
And in my opinion, personally, should you invest? Well, it all depends on what kind of goals you have for this stock, right? I've talked about where I see this stock going in 10 years from now, right? I do believe that it's possible that we can see a 10x to a 20x by 2030. Take a look at my stock prediction up there. But that's long term, right? But if you're doing it long term, $150 sounds pretty darn good to me, right? Because I'm expecting it to be about 1,500 to 3,000. But if you're doing this short term, well, normally I don't do that, right? But if that's something you would want to do, I would say think about it as having some form of gambling money, right? Like the article we looked at. If there's some money that you just want to play around with, you have some itchy fingers and you can deal with that. You can handle that stomach-wise, right? You can keep your cool and you're ready to lose some of that money. I mean, if it goes down below a number that you're not happy with, me personally, then I wouldn't sell at all, right? I'll just keep that money in there because eventually it's going to go up there. Remember, it's been just a couple months ago, it was up to $221. And when it came out 2 years ago, it was up to $240. Usually with these kind of stocks, it will get up there sooner or later again. And in this case, it's going to go way beyond that. No pun intended. There is actually one other thing that I think one can consider why this stock is going up more and more right now. And that's something I'm going to talk about in another video. But that was it, folks. I truly hope you got some value in today's video. And if you did, make sure to smash that like button. And if you want to keep getting more information regarding Beyond Meat and other plant-based companies out there, make sure to subscribe and don't forget that bell button. Thank you, folks. I truly appreciate you. And as always, this was just my own thoughts and opinions. It's important to do your own due diligence and invest safe. Folks, have a lovely Friday. I will see you tomorrow, and peace out.